welcome to this What Do You Want to Watch Spoilercast for The Last of Us, Season 2, Episode 6. I'm your host, Ashley Hobley. Joining me today is Dylan White.
Yeah, happy to be here talking about the end of the show. At the final scene of the game this episode. And we just wrapped it up. We're done.
Technically not. There is technically a scene after that.
We're missing 4 seconds, I think.
A little bit more than 4 seconds, but yes. It's it's funny. Like another podcast that I would listen to on the drive home before. It's like, we're going to spoil everything up to this point until the point in the game where this ends.
Yep, the end of the game.
It's the end of the game. Doesn't make a lot of sense
Mm.
due to the structure of everything. But yeah, yes. Let's talk about this flashback-heavy episode of The Last of Us.
Flashback heavy. Let's just talk about this flashback episode. Let's talk about the whole episode.
There was
4 seconds.
Teensy tiny bit of present day in there, so it counts. Please be aware we will be freely discussing anything and everything about plot themes in any of the episode, the show so far, and of the 2 video games. If you have not played the video games, this is not the podcast for you. There are a lot of other podcasts out there for you.
We'll be spoiling up to the moment that the show is.
Yes. And then beyond.
Yep.
By 4 seconds.
By 4 seconds.
Let's discuss the latest episode of The Last of Us. The Last of Us, Season 2, Episode 6, The Price, directed by Neil Druckmann, written by Neil Druckmann, Haley Gross, and Craig Mazin. Dylan, what did you think of this episode?
I think this is my least favorite episode because of the change, if I'm being honest. Like, I'm not jumping on the full I hate the show bandwagon. I think there's a lot of the positives for this episode are the acting between Bella and Pedro, which is obviously it's basically just them nearly the whole episode. 70% of the episode is just them, I guess. But yeah, I think by the time the episode like as I was watching it, I'm like, oh, this is some really strong acting and stuff like that. And then when it wrapped up, it's like my brain took over and I went, I hate how that's completely changed, recontextualized the structure of the story now. So yeah, it's a bit of a mixed bag. And obviously, I finished watching it about half hour ago, so I'm a bit more fresh than you are. But yeah, my initial thoughts were, no, out of all the changes I've made so far, this is the one so far where I'm like, don't know about that, guys.
Yeah, I'm in a similar boat to you where right after I was like, I don't know if I like this. I mean, obviously it ends with that iconic scene on the porch, which is one of the hardest hitting moments in maybe all video games, and at least emotionally. And they've completely altered it in a way that doesn't play. You just kind of, at this point, you have to accept the TV show as the TV show. And the video game is the video game. And they are completely two different, separate experiences. And they are two completely different, separate stories. And it, to a certain extent, it's due to the mediums they're being told in. And, you can't fault it too much. I mean, you kind of get to the same endpoint, but I think anyone who's played the games would say, yeah, how the games did it was better and it's more impactful.
100%.
And I'll get to my other gripe when we get to it, but I mean, everything leading up to that, I think, was really great. Like, I didn't mind what they did with like the Eugene stuff, and I didn't love that. That was the tipping point as to why she figured out.
Well,
everything.
I mean, my understanding, I guess, if I'm trying to understand what they've done in the game, they have her 2 years before current day, something like that. I think it was 2 years. She goes to the hospital and finds out about the fireflies and everything like that because of a tape that she listens to.
Yep.
And then she has a fight with Joel and says, I'll never forgive you for this or whatever, and walks off. And you see that about halfway through the game or whatever. roughly, and that gives you
the context.
At that point, you're like, she's been shitty. She's been holding this grudge against Joel for 2 years, and she feels so much guilt over it that
Now, past is passing. Yes.
Yeah, past his after he dies, that she feels so much guilt that she had been holding this against him for 2 years and never got to fix their relationship and have anything. And now you think that's what the whole thing is. It's not a revenge mission. It's her trying to clear her
conscience or whatever.
Conscience. But then once you get that, when they do the porch scene at the end, the very, 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 very end of the game, to sort of recontextualize what you've just played through, it's just a lot more poignant in that moment. Now, what they try to do here in the TV show is they have them fight over the lying to Gail thing, and that's how she discovers he's a liar, which obviously is nowhere near as impactful of 2 years of built up hatred and disappointment in someone. You know? But I think that's what they were like, yeah, it's the same sort of effect. We'll just have them, like, this is the moment, and we're just going to change it to this. And then they'll have that conversation here. But, yeah, it misses, again, like we've sort of discussed.
Yeah, I mean, for people who are viewing it for the first time, I'm sure it'll work.
Yeah,
From people who have experienced the best chocolate cake, this chocolate cake's not going to taste good.
I think my main problem is, and again, like I've said this about, I've already said this about the show. Like, the show's nowhere near as good as the game. It's fine. It's whatever. Still enjoying watching it. The biggest problem with this, to me, is it really does just go, it's just a revenge mission, which isn't anywhere near as interesting as someone being driven. Like, when you're playing the game, you're like, this is someone driven by trying to clear their conscience, like driven by guilt. You know, it's just so much more interesting. And now that they do the reveal here, it's just like, well, she's just trying to get revenge.
I guess.
Like, it's just, I've said it before. This TV show is just not anywhere near as nuanced as the game.
Yeah, I mean, in the game, you believe it is a revenge mission until the very last moment, until this moment, you know?
Well, I don't think it's...
And I think a lot of people still believe it's a revenge mission. And because the number of people are like, why did Ellie make the decision she makes at the end of the game? They're still angry about that.
Well, it's revenge, but
because they believed it was a revenge.
It's what's driving the revenge. What emotion is driving that, you know?
Right. Let's run through the episode and then we can kind of break down some key moments. Because again, I think there's a lot of good stuff in here.
There's a lot of good stuff, but there's definitely a lot less like stuff to break down than previous episodes. So,
I don't know. We'll see. So again, reading the breakdown from TV Line, written by Kimberly Roots, who is not a video game player, for context. Here we go. The entire episode is composed of flashbacks, though the first one isn't about Ellie at all. In 1983, Austin, Texas, a young Tommy freaks out that his father is going to beat the shit out of me for being involved in some ridiculousness regarding buying pot. Joel assures his little brother that he'll take the punishment and sends him to his room. When their father comes home, we see that A, he's a cop, B, he's played by Better Call Saul's Tony Dalton.
Hell yeah.
Never heard of it. The senior Miller is angry, but he gets 2 beers from the fridge and puts one in front of his older son. He talks about how he stole a candy bar as a kid, and then his father hit him so hard he broke his jaw. Okay, yeah, I've hit you, and I've hit Tommy, but never like that. Not even close, he says. Tears gathered in his eye as he monologues about trying to do a little bit better than his father. When it's your turn, he says, when he heads back to work, I hope you do a little bit better than me. And in case you weren't paying attention, yeah, don't worry at all. The point will be driven home with the subtlety of a ballpoint pen. Oh, ball pen hammer later in the hour.
Yeah. Yeah, so I didn't like this either. Just because of the fact the scene, when I watched the opening, I was like, oh, this will come back to do with some moment later in the episode or something. And then when they tied it into the porch scene, I was like, well, that's as subtle as, like, that's a good ballpoint hammer, whatever they said. But I was just thinking, that's not subtle at all. With, like, that whole scene just exists to, I guess, explain the person Joel is. We better explain the person Joel is by having his father scene. I'm like, did I really need to go that far back? I don't need a scene of Joel's father to like. I don't need to see Joel's father to understand Joel. Just tell me Joel. You know, like this is not a time where I need to see the father to understand the person. I understand the person, and if you're only going to give me a 5-minute scene to help explain that, it's unnecessary. I don't need this contextualization. But the best thing about what you read is that they didn't say Marvel Swordsman's Tony Dalton. They said Better Call Saul's Tony Dalton. Good writer.
That's true. Yeah, I didn't mind it. Yeah. I mean, if this is the last time we're ever going to see Joel in this show, I'm fine with diving a little bit into history. Although, of all his history, that is the part that I'm probably least interested in.
You reckon they're not going to have a flashback in season 3 at all?
I don't think so at this point. What is there left back to flashback to?
They're going to add a new scene.
Yeah. Next thing we know, we're at a bar in Jackson. Seth is working there, and Joel brings a plastic freezer bag full of Legos, which Seth's grandkids will love to trade.
Okay.
We learn that Seth wants a cop in the before times, and though he's not immediately clear what Joel is looking for in return, Seth asks.
Hold on, just also the subtlety of when he's like, "I used to be a cop," and Joel's face goes, "I just had a flashback about when I was a kid. My dad was a cop."
Yeah. Seth asks a crucial question: vanilla or chocolate? Say vanilla, it's easier. A resigned Joel says vanilla. At home, Joel is working on a guitar for Ellie. He puts a ton of attention into the work, even engraving a moth into the neck. Just as he's finishing, he hears Tommy yelling for him as he walks a loopy Ellie up to her bedroom. Painkillers, she's alright, Tommy says to Joel, who was immediately clicked into panic mode. Ellie was on kitchen duty by herself when she decided to push her forearm, aka the site of her bite scar from the infected, up against the scalding pot. I was like, here we go. And then I fucking went. She explains out of it on drugs. Side note, Ramsey's woozy line readings here are funny and even funnier when juxtaposed with Pascal's Joel, who's ready to go punch that pot in his stupid face. She futzes with the bandage, which makes the wound hurt more, and her weak cries of pain brings Joel instantly to her side. Easy, baby girl, he says. Comforts her, and you guys know what that kind of achievement does to me. From this band does to me. Ellie grows sad as she explains she just wanted to wear short sleeves again, and she's sorry for the trouble she's caused. He hushes her, and she leans up against him as he pulls her close and kisses her head. We're only 10 minutes in, and I'm a soggy toast. Hard up. I appreciate your work.
I like this scene for the acting, but again, yes. I just felt like I would have preferred. I could have even nearly taken a similar sort of scene play out without the callback to how she got the scar. Just like show me something new, you know what I mean? Like I've heard her explain what she did. I don't need to see it. I'd prefer you just to show me a new tale from.
But you didn't see it. You just seen the aftermath. Jeez, are you going to be like this the entire episode?
Possibly. Possibly.
James? No.
This week I will be the James Woods.
All right. The next morning she comes downstairs to find Joel grumbling over a cake that reads "Happy 15th birthday, Eli." Let's hope Seth bakes better than he spells. He says he turns to get the knife. But this time he's turned around, Ellie has shoved a fistful of cake into her mouth. He does. She mumbles. It's really good. Incredible. Joel then makes her close her eyes while he brings out the guitar. He's never dadded so hard as he dads when he talks about the drill he used to engrave the neck. It's sweet.
It can be used for many different purposes.
Yeah, just imparting life lessons. Yeah. He talks about giving her a lesson later, but she demands the song now, and because it's her birthday, he gets over his initial hesitation and sits down to play Future Days by Pearl Jam. Ellie listens, looking so happy, and says, well, that didn't suck. When he finishes, then he tells her that he understands why she did what she did with her arm.
I like this scene. They ruined it by having him play a song that wasn't out yet, though. So,
what is Joel from the future? It doesn't make historical sense.
Yeah, no. I enjoyed it. This part was good. Yeah,
I'm just glad it's canon. Just Happy birthday, kiddo, he says, and Ellie comes as close to beaming as she is able to. A year later, as Joel and Ellie hike through the forest, she lobbies him to finally let her go on patrol. She reasons that Jesse was 16 when he started, and that leads Joel to tease her about liking the teen. I've seen the way you look at him. I've got a keen eye for these sort of things, he says, completely serious, as all of us die laughing. I don't think you do, she did.
Not there.
It's from the game, right?
I believe so. I think so, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, another fun. Lots of fun moments in this episode that make you forget that she just was beating some lady with a pipe. You can almost see the moment Joel thinks, okay, I guess
she
I've
was
got to
beating
do
that
this
lady with a pipe, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. It asks if anyone's talked to her about the birds and the bees. Oh, you mean dicks and vaginas? She says loudly, and Joel is out of his element. The conversation ends pretty quickly after that. They arrive in a clearing that unexpectedly has a dinosaur statue, which excites Ellie to no end. She climbs up to the very top of the T-Rex's head and sees there's a museum nearby. They go inside. We learn that Joel found the place a while back, was saving it for a special day. Her eyes go wide when she sees a model of the Sol system. Side note, if you have time, go back and watch Joel watching Ellie as she delights in all of the space stuff around her. Perfection. She's shocked that the model actually moves when you crank it. Someone must have greased it, he says. When Ellie wonders aloud what it would be like to be amongst the stars, Joel asks her, would you like to go to space? Then he ushers her to the Apollo 15 capsule as part of the museum's collection, a real spacecraft from the 1971 mission to the moon. He encourages her to break a case and pick out a helmet, so she does. And then she climbs into the capsule. Joel follows her. But he's not done yet. He hands her a cassette that took a mighty effort to find. She pops into her portable player and hears a recording of the blast off into space. Ellie closes her eyes and imagines she's there in the longest we've ever seen her this happy, and it's a beautiful thing. Are you okay? Joel asks, concerned. It's probably the longest he's ever seen her this happy too. Are you kidding me? She shoots back, all smiles. Guys, he's so happy. She's happy. As they walk home at dusk, Joel remarks, this is nice, we should do this more often. But just then, she stops and her whole demeanor changes. He notes the abrupt change and wonders if she's okay. But she says yes and starts walking again. Things seem back to normal when the camera pans over to show what caught Ellie's attention. We see a cloud of fireflies sparkling in the approaching darkness.
They have really good acting in this episode, but I think even just the close up on Pedro's face, just a little tear in his eyes, not run there as he's like sitting there, enjoying her being happy, was good.
Yeah, I think this was as good a recreation as you possibly could have done of this museum scene. And from what I've heard on the podcasts, the Last of Us podcast, apparently they even had the dinosaur section set made.
Okay, but
I guess they didn't use it.
Yeah, that's weird. I have no problems with this scene, but it was making me think about why I think that in the game this scene is more like crazy, like such a moment. And it's just because I think in the game when it just gives you the space moment, it just seems so even more left field than what it is here, because it fully, like, it doesn't the background changes more and everything like that. It just seems so much more out of the Last of Us game. I don't know, especially because of the video game medium, maybe because it's a very hands-off moment. Like, it's still good here. I'm not saying this is bad, but I
believe they did all of that in camera.
Yeah, they might have just like the lighting.
The report they changed, like they rotated the spaceship, capsule, whatever, and that kind of stuff.
It's still very cool, but I was just trying to think why I think it works better in the video game. And I think it's just because of the expectations you have within a certain medium.
No, that's fair. But yeah, looked incredible. Even the freaking dinosaur, that was cool. Her crazily running up it, like, I know that's in the game, but yeah, looked very unsafe.
Definitely was not going to pass any OHS standards, that's for sure.
A year after that, Seth has worked on his copy editing skills, and the cake that Joel brings home reads "Happy 17th birthday, Ellie." When he hears giggles from Ellie's room, he busts in and finds her canoodling with Kat, the one we met on patrol in the first episode. Kat also was tattooing over Ellie's burn. Joel is really angry, so all the teenage shit all at once, huh? He yells once Kat is gone. Drugs and tattoos and sex and experimenting with girls. Ellie yells back that it's neither sex nor an experiment, but he dismisses her. We'll discuss this later when you're yourself, he says, slamming on the door as he leaves. That night, she tries to move out to the garage. Joel stops her and they argue some more, but he acknowledges that maybe she should have her own space. He volunteers to fix up the garage for her. Things are awkward between them, but he's trying. The tattoo is a moth, and he asks why she likes that so much. She mumbles something about it being symbolic. Oh, like change and growing and such? Oh, Joel. The next day, Joel accosts Gail at the diner for help. She flatly tells him that in dreams, moths signify death, and as Ellie packs up her room, we see "You have a greater purpose" written among the moths she's doodled.
I feel like the Joel getting something more interested in the meaning behind things is nearly out of character for him. You know, like
I think it's like a trying to connect thing, and well, she says it's symbolic, so that's why you were trying to find out the meaning of it,
what it means.
And he confuses moths and butterflies, like everybody does, you know. You know. Couple of things here. I really love Kat in the scene. You know, obviously she didn't get much to do in that first episode, but here, the perfect awkward partner who gets caught.
Well, they just have the throwaway line of in that episode with her and Dean. And Dean's like, "Didn't you have a thing with Kat or whatever?" Like,
because you're both lesbians.
Yeah, because you're both lesbians, right? You're a lesbian. I hate girls.
Yeah. But yeah, this one she's awkward and is like trying to sell Joel on the tattoo. It's going to look better when it's done and all that kind of stuff. And then Gail just upset that she's being accosted in the diner. You know, just people randomly coming up to her and asking her questions.
What'd she say? Like, she's like, do I have a fucking light on that?
Says the doctor's in. Yeah.
Doctor's in or something? Yeah.
Lucy from Peanuts, yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
Everything that woman touches, gold. But yeah, I think an interesting point here made as well. Like, Ellie wants to go live in the garage, which, come on, that didn't look like a good place to stay in the middle of the night when it's raining. Come on, I know you're upset, but you know, not smart. But as I think Joel says at some point in this episode, you know, Ellie needs to learn patience. You need to pick your moment. Joel like puts his foot down like a real dad, and like, when you're living in my house, it's like, no, it's not your house. Like, we were given this place, us, you know, so you don't own anything. Such a devastating. That would be such a devastating burn for people who live in the capitalist world. You know, he came up in a capitalist world.
He came up in a capitalist world, so
yeah. 2 years later, Ellie sits on her bed and practices asking Joel all the questions that have been swirling around in her mind for years. How did the same fireflies who spotted us a mile away from the hospital get surprised by an entire group of raiders? And if the raiders could kill all those soldiers and Marlene and you had to carry me the whole time, how did we get away? And if there are dozens of immune people, why hasn't anybody heard of them? She's interrupted by Joel, who's there with her birthday present. She's given the patrol permission to add Ellie to their ranks. She and he patrol together, where he suggests that they spend more time together. His response to is pretty lackluster, and he clocks it. Then a call comes in over the radio, and he tries to send Ellie home. She counters that she's not his kid, she's his patrol partner, and she wants to stay, so she does. They find Eugene, played by The Sopranos, Joe Pantoliano.
No, The Sopranos. I appreciate this. Right, they're going for the you know, most people would say Bad Boys, but
yes,
or The Matrix.
Probably. I mean, that was a funny bit from the podcast as well. Apparently, there was meant to be at one point there was a Matrix poster in Ellie's room.
Oh, really?
But he was on the poster, so they didn't get right. So they find Eugene, the long talked about Eugene, Gail's husband, who took down an infected but got bit in the process. Looks like we're about to find out what Gail was talking about in the season premiere. Eugene reasons they have about an hour, so he'd like to go back to the gate surrounding Jackson so he can say goodbye to his wife. Joel gently but firmly says no. Ellie is more sympathetic, reasoning that he's not yet symptomatic, which indicates that they can fulfill his last request. Joel instructs her to bring the horses down the trail, and he'll walk with Eugene on the way. On the way back, at one point, he looks back at his surrogate. At one point, she looks back at her surrogate dad questioningly. "I promise," he says. He breaks that promise. When Joel has Eugene in front of a beautiful vista, the bitten man begs Joel not to shoot him because he needs Gale's comfort as he dies. Joel offers to pass along any last words, and then though we don't watch, Joel kills him. Side note to me, there's something that passes over Eugene's face as he takes off his glasses that seems like his transition of mushroom head is beginning. My co-workers disagree. Thoughts? Shout them out in the comments. I didn't see that.
I also didn't see
that. So this answers a lot of questions.
Very I wonder why they chose the cast. Was it just, I wonder if it was just we want a prominent actor or we want someone who can bring enough substance to this performance. And I think my thing is with this scene, and this is the way it plays out, I think it's in general, out of context, out of like without having played the game, I'd probably appreciate all this so much more. But I think just it being now, and as I was watching the episode, I didn't dislike it. I was like, this is fine, whatever, like good acting and all that, whatever. But I think by the time we reached the end of the episode and like realizing that this sort of replaces a different moment to help get to the end of the episode, in context, I sort of disliked it more, if that makes sense.
But yeah, I mean, I liked it. I thought great performance. I loved the line of my last words. No, I need her last words. That's what I'm really. I'm scared shitless. I want comfort from my wife of however many years.
Imagine if he had just been like, I need a joint. Take me to my secret weed farm.
Just set us both alight.
Yeah.
I'll go out like that. Do you think Joel was wrong to kill him and not take him back?
No, Joel was right. It's fine.
Yeah.
I don't think it's worth the risk. Because you always got to ask the question, would he do the same for someone else? An answer for
I mean, it's a slippery slope. You start doing that,
yeah.
Then you start having to do it for everybody.
Like, there's no strict... Ellie does this weird test, but like, no one really knows how long it takes. There's
but like 10 seconds after he puts his hands down, he could be turning,
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
Ellie, I had no choice, Joel pleads as they bring Eugene's wrapped body back to town. She's crying, but he can't see her face. She says nothing. When they return to Jackson, Tommy brings Gale to where Eugene is laid out on the ground. Joel tells Gale that her husband was brave, that he loved her, and it ended it all by himself. That's not what happened, Ellie says, seething as Gale sobs into Joel's shoulder. He begged to see you. He had time. Joel promised to take him to you. He promised us both. Joel shot him in the head. Gale slaps
She
Joel.
never saw that, to be fair. She could be lying. Ellie never saw him shoot. He could have shot himself,
That's true.
Who do we say?
Unlikely, considering he didn't have a gun and Joel had a rifle. And
No.
Joel would never give him the rifle. You know what I mean?
No. Do you know what? I think the other thing I found interesting about this is because Ellie hasn't existed in a real world society where white lies are widely considered okay, especially during circumstances like this, because she doesn't have any of that. She just takes it as, no, you lied. Like, very, like, wrong. There's no grey in this. And I think that plays into the story in whole. There's no grey. There's just good or bad sort of thing.
No, I think Ellie wants to punish him in that moment. Like, I'm going to make you look like an idiot and like a piece of shit because you lied to me. And
she doesn't appreciate being lied to, but she also doesn't get why he would
lie.
But
she also, I do agree. I don't think she thought through the ramifications of her actions of how this would affect Gale. How what Joel was doing was giving her comfort that, you need in this type of situation. even if it's a lie. Gail slaps Joel and tells her to get away from her. Joel, who looks stricken by what what I'm sure he sees as a betrayal, stares at Ellie. You swore, she says, then takes off.
Mm.
Of course, calling back to the end of last season where he swears. Because it's not a distinct. It's not. She's referring back to her telling him about the hospital, not
swear to me
about Eugene in that moment.
Yeah,
not that Joel would click.
Now that he's lied once, she goes, "Well, that's it. It's all fucking fake."
It was that same face.
Yeah, same face. Yeah.
Yeah. 9 months later, we're back at the New Year's Eve dance, only we're watching it from Joel's perspective.
Yeah. Good song.
Yes. Nailed it. I'll have to cut that for copyright. When Tommy leaves to bring his sleepy son home, Maria revisits her and Joel's conversation about refugees. She reaffirms that she's very grateful for everything that is done. What I'm trying to say is Uncle Grumpy is family, and family helps each other out if they need it. The warm moment is interrupted by Seth being a drunk and homophobic ass. We all know how that went. Remember how Ellie told Gail that she didn't talk to Joel that end of that night? That was a lie. Shocker. He's sitting on the porch with her guitar when she comes home. She walks past him without saying anything, which clearly hurts him. But then she comes back and stands next to him on the porch. They both look out into the yard as she says something she doesn't want him interfering with her personal or patrol life anymore. He agrees. He asks about Dina, and Ellie quickly says their kiss didn't mean anything. She'd be lucky to have you, he says quietly. The kind words set her off, giving her the fire to rip into the conversation she's been wanting to have with him for years. You lied to me. You looked me in the eyes and you lied. It was the same face, the same fucking look, she says, and Lord help me, because Joel already has tears in his eyes. I think I knew already. I knew this whole time, so I'm going to give you one last chance. Tell me what happened with the Fireflies. If you lie to me again, we're done. It's important to note that Joel is so overcome that he can't speak. He can only nod or shake his head as she asks questions. He confirms that there are no raiders or other immune people. Could they have made a cure? He nods, his face so close to crumbling. Ellie is crying too, but she wipes her tears away. He nods in confirmation that he killed the doctor and Marlene, but he finds that his voice is to say, making a cure would have killed you. Ellie sees it differently. Then I was supposed to die, she yells. My life would have fucking mattered. But you took that away from me. You took that from everyone. She agrees with her. He agrees with her, acknowledging that by doing so, he's likely to lose her forever. But if somehow I had a second chance at that moment, I would do it all over again, he says. Because you're selfish, she tosses back. Because I love you, he says, Pascal somehow working a tiny moan sob in there that makes the sentiment ache even more. In a way you can't understand, maybe you never will, but if that day should come, if you should ever have one of your own, well then, I hope you do a little bit better than me. His voice is all high and trembly, he's full on crying, and I truly think this might kill me, fucking hell. I don't I'm sorry. Obviously we're a little bit more negative than the writer on this. But it showcases that for people who haven't played the game, it's clearly worked.
Glad they're enjoying it.
Super effective. I don't think I can forgive you, she says, and he closes his eyes as he waits for the emotional kill shot. It doesn't come, but I would like to try. She finishes, and he quickly turns, looks at her. This was not what I was expecting. And that's all. That's all we go to the Joel and Ellie show throwback edition. In the hour's final scene, we see Ellie return to the theater in Seattle in the rain after having pulverized Nora. I mean, the start of the scene, super accurate.
Oh, it's the whole thing's 90% accurate, other than the additional dialogue.
Yes,
which doesn't ruin it, but obviously I don't like. So
yes. Okay, so here's what is the reasoning that they said on the podcast for one.
Sure.
One, the why they didn't do the other hospital scene.
Mm-hmm.
They would believe it's too unrealistic that you would have gone to another hospital in this realistic world.
Why?
like she would have snuck out and like run away.
I think
I
it's
don't know.
realistic she would sneak out because that's exactly what the show's about.
That's their reasoning.
Okay.
And the reasoning why this scene is in this episode and not held back is because they believe people would not remember in the likely 2 to 5 years that it would take to get to that scene.
Remember what part though? Like
this porch scene.
Oh,
which I think is underestimating the
that's
viewers.
underestimating your audience. Like,
yeah, and there are a ton of resources like podcasts like this that would have explained it for people who didn't understand the reference. You know?
Yeah, I feel like that's. I don't like that. That's. Yeah, I don't like. I think our audience is too dumb to remember something like that. So we changed it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of frustrating this scene wasn't held back. Although, you know, one day someone is going to make a cut. You know? But yeah, I don't know. It's just this. Obviously, in the game, you've already seen so much and been through so much. You don't need to outright say certain lines, but obviously, this is a little further, much closer to the story, and like,
yeah, and I think the main point here is obviously this writer's enjoying it, and I hope a lot of people are enjoying it as it is who haven't played the game. This to me, like the changing of the structure somewhat, it's like it can still be good, and the story's still good and everything, but no, you know, it's we've had the apple pie,
and
now we're just getting the banana smoothie. You know what I mean? You get what I'm?
Sure.
You get what I'm saying?
Sure.
Yeah,
I'm getting what you're saying.
I think you get what I'm saying.
We've had the steak, and now we're just getting a burger patty. You know? It's just the obviously in the game, it's a lot is unsaid, but you understand the context. Like
it's like that. Also, that's
you don't need Ellie saying, "Oh, it's because you're selfish that you decide to make that decision."
Yeah. Again,
and you also don't need him to say it's because I love you, because you know.
No, but it's like if they did the same thing in the game, they'd be like, "Oh, we don't trust players will remember that scene potentially several weeks into their playthrough."
I think a game and a TV series, but also a TV series again, several years between seasons. Don't even know if you're going to get renewed for a third season, you know, to be fair. Unlikely as that is.
I really don't think if they'd shown this a year and a half from now, 2 years from now, if they started the same way and they showed the dance and the setup, people's brains would go, oh yeah, the dance. I know where I am. I know where we are in time now. You don't, obviously in the game, they cut straight to the porch because they're like, people know more. But if you'd started the same way with the dance and everything to give a little bit more context for TV viewers, I think that would have been enough to spare people's memories.
I agree. It also puts it's kind of weird because obviously now this is the moment that she 100% confirms that Joel killed all these people. Well, she doesn't even realize that she killed all those people. But, you know, the
assumption's there.
Because he can't say a word, really. Also, he believes that they would have found a cure. I don't know if that was guaranteed.
I would have been, if
he
he's
could have died for nothing.
You know? I would have preferred him crying and just going, shrug.
Yeah, I wanted the shrug.
Maybe. Who's to say?
You
know. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it just feels different because she's had 2 years to stew on this in the game. And then finally come to...
Yeah, now they've changed it to literally the night before she finds out now.
Yeah. So...
it's a huge difference. 2 years versus 12 hours.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they could have done it. You know? They could have done close to the game to, you know, fill context and everything, so... yeah, so that's the episode. Anything else you want to discuss about this?
No,
you feel like they missed?
Obviously, this is my least favorite episode, but the I think the acting in here is some of the best. Is my
Oh, that was
would be
the other
my-
thing. She says, "I don't think I can forgive you,"
Mm.
and then very quickly says, "But I'd like to try." But in the video game, there's like several beats. I'm
Mm.
freaking frustrated. Why did they keep those? You know, everybody's just rushing. Got to bring the time down of these episodes quick. You know,
Mm.
give these moments time to breathe. You know,
Blame our
It's like
HBO overlords, you know.
yeah. So
Next week finale.
next
Crazy.
week finale, and I don't know how they're gonna.
I'll tell you right now. They're gonna go to the thing. Ellie's gonna be like, "Hey, I know where Abby's supposed to be." They're gonna head out to the dock or whatever. They're gonna kill Mel and someone else. I can't remember the character's name. And
Owen.
then Owen. They're gonna kill Mel and Owen, and then they'll end up back at the end of the episode. And then Abby's gonna come in and kill what's his name? The guy?
Jesse?
Jesse. Yeah, Abby comes in, kills Jesse, and then the season ends with that cliffhanger of Abby pointing a gun at Ellie and saying, "Get on the fucking ground." Then she gets on the ground, that's the end of the season. And then next season starts with us following Abby for 6 episodes, which is going to be great.
It's going to be crazy.
Yeah. Now, I've had such a... Remember, I think it was last week I said that that's what I've accepted. Now, when we started the season, I had very different thoughts. I'm like, there's no way they're going to do it. Episode 1 starts, you know, I'm like, confirmation. They're not doing the same story structure. But yeah, as of last week and again through to this week, I'm telling you, that's what's happening. We're fucking full Abby next season.
Probably.
Yeah. Well, not full Abby, but 70% Abby.
But like 6 episodes. 6 of 7, and then the 7th episode.
And then they're going to rush to the finish.
Maybe
Let's
they'll get
say-
8 episodes next year. I don't know.
I think they need 4 episodes.
7 episodes is a very weird number for a season of television now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They usually like to have a nice and even.
I definitely... My thing is, if I'm thinking about beats, I would like to see expanded and could take up entire episode. I'm like, okay, Ellie on the farm, entire episode. A lot of the Abby stuff, especially when it comes to
Yeah, then
Lev.
Levin,
Yara and
yeah.
Lev, sorry, yeah. A lot of that stuff I'd be happy to see expanded. And then if you, by the time you get to the end, I can't remember what city they travel to, what state, whatever it is. By the time you get to there, I'm like, I would happily see
That's
a lot
gonna
of
be
that
awesome.
expanded to give more context. Because in the game, that sort of feels rushed. I'd happy to see more of that expanded upon. So I'm just like, I don't know how you finish this story of this in a whole one more season, but sure. And I mean, honestly, if I know we've still got 1 episode left, but I'd say I'm enjoying the season. I don't think it's as good as the first season. I think the first season, telling the story of the first game in one season, it fit nicer. I definitely feel like so many elements of this season, and then thinking into season 3, I do feel like we're just rushing a bit. I feel like we're just playing along to hit the beats. We're not actually telling the story.
Should they have taken longer and just shot the entire game, even if they classified as 2 seasons?
I think they need,
because then we don't have like a 2-3 year wait between.
I think Craig Mazin is not enough of a dude to take this story and turn it into a TV show. I think this show needed a writer's room for season 2 because of how large in scope and everything it is. I think it needed to be broke down, and you needed to.
Well, there was a writer's room.
Yeah, what? 4 people?
3 people.
Great. 3 people. Great. Yeah. I think given like, because season 1 is, you know, it's a line. It's a very like more just start to finish, right? And this is so much larger in scope. Back, forward, sideways, things happening here, things over here, and just so many elements where I feel like they're expanding on some things. I'm like, that's great. I like that you expanded this and changed this and whatever. And then some other stuff, obviously, like this week, I'm disagreeing with. But all in all, I feel like we're sort of just, yeah, it's like we're just racing between hitting tentpole moments of the game when I really feel within a TV show structure, I'm like, you needed to slow down here. You really needed to slow down and give more time, because a lot of the the game gives you that time in the fights or the time you spend just walking between locations and characters talking to one another. They're your time to sit with moments and little character building beats and whatnot. And I don't feel like I'm fully getting that with the show.
Yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying it, but yeah, this episode is the one that's kind of rocked my faith a little bit. I mean, even I guess I was down on it last week as well, so a little bit. So, yeah, I guess we'll wait to see how they wrap things up next week. It's going to be interesting. Because who knows? Maybe they'll go a completely batshit crazy direction for all we know. All right, let us know what you thought of this week's episode of The Last of Us by finding us on Blue Sky at explosionnetwork.com or find us on other social media at ExplosionPod. If you want to help us out here, what do you want to watch? Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or on Podchaser. Leave us 5 stars, and you can leave 5 stars, or just tell people about the show. And if you've enjoyed this episode, thoughts worth $1, head on over to our Ko-fi page at explosionnetwork.com/support. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, don't make promises you can't keep.